Hi, my name's Cate. I'm a yoga instructor at the YMCA, and I put together this gentle yoga practice that's focused on grounding and balance. I hope you enjoy it. All right, to get started today, we're going to come into a wide knee child's pose. So from a kneeling position on your mat, you'll separate your knees so they're just a little bit wider than your hips. Go ahead and fold forward, walking your palms out in front of you. And allow your elbows and your forehead to rest down on the ground. This posture should feel completely passive. Should feel like you can take a nice, deep, easy breath. Go ahead, close your eyes down and start to bring your awareness into your body by noticing the physical sensations of your breath. Observe what it feels like when you breathe in and what it feels like when you breathe out. Notice where your body becomes expansive each time you inhale. Your rib cage moving from right to left and front to back. And observe where your body grows heavy and grounded each time you breathe out, observing that natural sense of relief. So we'll be here for another 5 or 6 rounds of breath. Breathing into your very fullest capacity, and then emptying all that breath out of your lungs. And just complete one more good round of breath here. And then maybe bring your awareness to some intention for your practice today. Thinking of some person or some situation in your life that you'd like to dedicate your efforts to. And with that intention set, you'll walk your palms away from your knees, lifting your elbows up off your mat. And take a deep breath in as you bring your shoulders over your wrist, moving into an all-fours position. Bring your knees in so they're about hip width apart now, and point your toes straight back from your knees. We'll bring some easy movement into the body. On an exhale, simply stretch your hips back toward your heels as if you're moving into that child's pose shape. And as you inhale, come right back up to that all-fours position. Reaching the collarbones wide, reaching the breastbone forward. Exhale, send the tailbone back towards the heels, bringing your forehead towards your mat. And one more time, just like that. Inhale up to the all-fours shape. And exhale back to child's pose. Now on your next inhalation, you'll come up to that all-fours position. This time you'll pause. We're bringing some lateral movement into the spine. Begin circling your hips over your knees. Be mindful of what this feels like in the outer edges of your hips and in the low part of your back. If you tend to have some sensitivity or tightness in those areas, you might start with a small circle. And if you've got a little more mobility, maybe it's a bigger, more exaggerated circle. Listen for any feedback that your body's giving you or any sounds that your joints make. Take about 2 more rounds in this direction. That's it. And then pausing wherever you are, please reverse that circle. Again, maybe starting with a small little circle as you investigate what this feels like as you move in the opposite direction. Any different sensations that you feel. And then maybe gradually growing your circle a little bit bigger, exploring a fuller range of motion. And 2 more rounds like this. Let your head be heavy, swaying gently from side to side as you move. Good, and the next time you come up through that all-fours shape, you'll pause. And set up for gate pose. So we'll start by stepping the left foot out wide, turning the toes straight ahead. And if you look at that foot, it should be in line with your right knee. So pressing down through your right shin, you'll rise up to kneeling. Sweep your arms up next to your ears. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, send your tailbone towards the floor. Float your left hand down your left leg. And then another deep breath as you reach your right arm up and over to the left side. Good. You can play around with the angle of your chin, finding whatever shape feels best for your neck. Maybe releasing a little tension from around the shoulder and that right side of the neck. And think about breathing into all this space on the right side of your body as if you could expand all those little spaces between your ribs. One more breath right here. And on your next inhalation, you'll draw your navel toward your spine, lift yourself back up to kneeling, and as you exhale, float that right palm down to your mat like a modified tabletop shape. We're going to circle this left arm up towards the ceiling and just continue that motion. So you're making a big arm circle with your left arm, waking up all those little muscles and ligaments around the left shoulder, feeling any tightness, any little hitches in the joint as you move. Good, just one more round like you're playing a big air guitar. The next time left fingertips reach to the sky, you'll pause. And as you exhale, reverse that circle as you shift your hips back towards that right heel. So a little more movement in the body now. Inhale as you reach forward, circle up. And exhale as you reach back, sending your hips towards that right heel. 2 more rounds just like that. Waking up the shoulder, waking up the hips. Very nice. And again, next time that left arm reaches up towards the sky, you'll pause. And on an exhale, release left fingertips down. Release your left knee next to your right. And then send your hips back towards your heels into that active child's pose shape. So elbows stay lifted off your mat. On an inhale, you'll come up through an all-fours position. Shift your hips slightly forward of your knees. So you're in a knee plank shape. And then keeping your elbows tucked in close to your ribs, lower all the way down to your chest. Good. Palms are flat on the mat. Elbows reaching in towards the rib cage. Tops of the feet press down into the floor. And as you inhale, just use your back muscles to peel your heart up away from the ground. Shoulders roll away from the ears. Nose points down towards the floor. Baby cobra. On an exhale, you'll release all the way down to your forehead. And do that twice more with your breath. On your inhale, gently lift your chest. On your exhale, slowly lower back down. Keeping the collarbones broad. One more time, deep breath as you rise. Exhale completely as you lower. And then pressing down through your palms, keep those elbows tucked in. Lift yourself up through an all-fours position. And we'll take gate pose on the second side. This time stepping the right foot wide. Toes point straight ahead. The arch of your foot is in line with your left knee. Left shin presses down into the mat. As you inhale, you'll rise to kneeling. Reach your arms up next to your ears. And on the exhale, float the right hand down the right leg. Send your tailbone towards the floor as you reach, left arm up and over. You're welcome to play around with that angle in your chin, finding whatever shape feels best for you and your neck. And once you've found a comfortable position, really focus on breathing into this left side of your rib cage. One more breath here. And then strong core, draw your navel back toward your spine. Inhale up to kneeling, both arms lift. And as you exhale, you'll float your left hand down to the ground. Circle your right arm up and continue that action. Again, like you're playing this big air guitar. Hips are steady and stable for now. We're just focusing on range of motion in this right shoulder. Good, last round like this. And then pausing with right arm reaching skyward. This time we'll add the hips. So Reverse that arm circle like you're reaching towards the back of the mat. Send your hips back towards that left heel. And as you inhale, sweep your arm forward, reach up. Exhale, reach back. Inhale, reach forward and up. Good, twice more, just like that, following your own breath. Noticing what the movement feels like as you go. And the next time you reach your right arm skyward, you'll pause. Good, one more deep breath here. On the exhale, release your right hand down to meet your left. Carefully release that right knee. And just like before, send your hips back into that active child's pose shape. Good, your next inhalation brings you forward into that knee plank shape. So hips are slightly forward of the knees, shoulders slightly forward of the fingertips. Lift your pubic bone up towards your navel so the low belly is engaged. As you exhale, lower hips and chest to the ground. Good. As you breathe in, lift your heart. Keep those elbows tucked in close. And as you exhale, release down to your forehead. Good. Pressing down into the floor, lift up through all fours. And from here, we'll curl the toes underneath. And on an exhale, lift the hips up and back for downward facing dog. We'll start with a slight bend in the knees here, head just hanging from the shoulders, so let your neck relax. And then think about lengthening your spine. So you're pressing your palms away from your body, reaching your chest back towards your thighs. And then if you've got a little more mobility in the backs of your legs, you can think about straightening through your knees. So first down dog today, it might feel a little tight. I like to start with a little bend in the knees, and we'll just be here for about 3 more rounds of breath. Good. Think about inflating your lungs completely as you breathe in, letting all the breath go as you breathe out. Nicely done. On your next inhale, you'll come high onto your toes. Release your knees gently to your mat. And then extend your left leg straight back behind you and float your toes up off the mat. We want to keep the hips level here. So you're dialing your left pinky toe down towards the floor. Imagine you could balance a tennis ball at the base of your spine. Your next exhalation, you'll round your spine into a cat tilt and squeeze that left knee in towards your nose. Waking up the core. As you inhale, press the left heel back. Imagine you could stamp your footprint on the wall behind you. And again, exhale, round your spine. Squeeze that left knee in towards your nose. One more round just like that. Deep breath in. Exhale, squeeze the left knee in. This time you'll pause. Press down a little bit more into the floor. See if you can lift that knee a little higher. And then gazing into the space between your palms, bring your left foot into that space. If it doesn't come all the way forward, you can always reach for the back of your ankle and encourage it into the space where you want it to go. From this position, we'll curl the right toes underneath behind us, lift that knee off the ground for a low lunge, and then pivot right heel to the floor for warrior 2. Now, looking at your feet, left heel should be in line with the arch of the right foot, left hip scooping underneath the body. And as you inhale, you'll cartwheel up to face the long edge of your mat, arms float wide, warrior 2. If you find that your shoulders want to creep up around your ears, it's helpful to relax the shoulders, maybe even flip your palms to face the ceiling. And be sure that your weight feels centered from front to back. So the tendency is to lean into this front leg. See if you can find the pinky toe edge of your right foot. Keeping the arms outstretched, take a deep breath, just extend through that left leg. And as you exhale, simply float back down. Inhale as you extend. Exhale to lower. Warming up the hips, we'll do that 2 more times. Lifting on the inhale and lower on the exhale. Good, last round. And this time you'll pause in warrior 2. Once again, finding the pinky toe edge of that right foot. Imagine you could spread your mat apart between your feet. And then looking down at your left big toe, please cartwheel your hands to either side of that foot. pivot to the ball of your right foot and then step back to plank pose. So high plank, we're keeping the shoulders over the wrist, knees off the mat just for a few breaths. Inner heels power towards the back of the mat as the breastbone reaches forward. Pubic bone is lifted towards the navel so the hips aren't sagging towards the mat. Should feel some heat in the core here. One more breath. And exhale, knees release to the ground, untuck your feet, and release all the way down to your belly. Just like before, inhale, peel the heart up, maybe pressing into the palms, lifting a little bit higher, and exhale all the way back down. Good, pressing up through hands and knees. That's it. Walk your hands back so they're right underneath your shoulders. And we're just switching sides, extending the right leg straight back behind us. Be sure that pinky toe's dialed down towards the floor. On your next exhalation, you'll round your spine, squeeze the right knee in towards your nose. And inhale as you press the heel back. Exhale, knee to the nose, waking up the right side abdominals. Inhale, reach back. Good, 2 more, just like that. And on this last round, we'll pause, right knee squeezing in towards the nose. Keep breathing. Press down into the floor to lift that knee up. Take your gaze between your hands and step your right foot into that space. Right knee tracking over the ankle. Curl the left toes under. Lift the knee up. And then pivot left heel to the floor for warrior 2. Taking a look at your feet, it's as if you're standing on a balance beam. Right heel is in line with the left arch. And on an inhale, you'll cartwheel up. Keeping the right knee tracking towards the pinky toe edge of that right foot. The tendency is for the knee to collapse in, to find that external rotation through the quadriceps. And then be sure your weight feels centered from front to back. You're not leaning into that front leg. You're welcome to flip the palms up, relax your shoulders away from your ears. Let your gaze rest softly over your right fingertips. In your next inhalation, you'll simply straighten the right leg. As you exhale, float back down, warrior 2. Again, inhale to straighten. Exhale to lower. 2 more times, warming up this right hip. That's it. If balance feels a little unsteady, keep your gaze somewhere down on the floor. Good. Last round, you'll pause in warrior 2. Take about 3 more breaths here. Pressing into the pinky toe edge of that left foot. And looking down at your right big toe. Cartwheel into your low lunge. Spin onto the ball of that back foot. And then plant your palms, step back to plank. Good, high plank, building some strength through the core here. Imagine your body expanding out in 2 opposite directions. Crown of your head reaching forward as your heels reach back. 2 more breaths. Press down into the floor. Lift the pubic bone towards the navel. Good, release your knees. Untuck your toes. Lower all the way down, knee plank. Good, inhale, lift your chest, maybe a little higher. Roll the shoulders away from the ears. Exhale to your forehead. Press up through 4s. Curl your toes and lift your hips. We're back in downward facing dog. Hamstrings might be a little more open here. If you want to think about straightening the knees a little bit more. And on an inhale, we'll come high onto the toes. Tiptoe up to the front of your mat, bending your knees as much as you need to. And pause in a standing forward fold. So, feet are about hips distance apart. Longest toe points straight ahead. And your torso just drapes over your legs. If your fingertips don't quite reach the floor, you're welcome to place your hands on your shins. Just be sure that your head is heavy, so there's no tension through the back of the neck. Should feel like your weight is centered from front to back, so you're not leaning too much into your heels. Feel all the tips of your toes gripping your mat. And then keeping your weight centered, on your next inhalation, you'll lift your spine parallel to the ground. Slide your hands up your legs. As you exhale, you'll fold back over. And again, inhale for a half lift. And exhale to fold. Waking up these muscles in the back. One more round, half lift. And fold. Keeping that nice long spine, press down through your heels and rise all the way to standing. Circle your arms up next to your ears. Take your gaze to your thumbs. And press your palms together as you exhale, hands to your heart. Samastiti. Take a few breaths here. Find yourself a drishti or a focal point on the floor. So gazing at some unmoving point is going to help you a little bit with your balance. Keep your gaze there. On your next inhale, reach up for the sky. As you exhale, press your palms through center, fold over your legs. Fingertips release towards the ground. As you inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale to fold. And long spine as you rise to standing. It's a half sun salute. Arms reach for the sky, gaze to the thumbs. Exhale, hands to your heart. Find that focal point on the ground. Inhale, reach out and up. Exhale, swan dive forward. Take up space as you fold here. Good, release your fingertips, release your head. Inhale to lift halfway up. Exhale to fold. And long spine as you rise to standing, reach for the sky. Do that one more time. Exhale, hands to your heart. Good, deep breath, big arm circle. Exhale, fold forward, long spine. Breathe in, lift halfway up. Exhale, fold. And long spine as you rise to standing, reach for the sky. Good, exhale, bring your hands to your heart. And another deep breath, reach out and up. Good, adding on here. As you exhale, you'll swan dive forward, just like before. Another deep breath, you'll lift up halfway. This time, you'll soften your knees, bring your fingertips to the ground, and float your right foot back into a low lunge. Release right heel to the ground. You're set up for warrior two again. As you inhale, you'll cartwheel up to standing, facing that long edge of your mat. Very nice. Now, as you inhale, straighten your left leg, just like before. This time, keep it straight. As you exhale, reach out like you're reaching past the front of your mat. As you breathe in, come all the way back up to standing. Crown of the head stacks over the hips. And as you exhale, re-bend your left knee. So we're just teasing triangle pose. As you inhale, you'll straighten. Exhale, reach, reach, reach past the front of your mat. Inhale all the way to the top. And exhale, left knee bends, warrior two. We'll do that one more time. Straighten on the inhale. Good, strong core as you reach out here, big stretch. Inhale to the top, stacking your head over your hips. Exhale, warrior two. Good, this time we're gonna pause, left leg straight. Good, reach out, reach past those left toes. This time pause. Keep your navel drawn back toward your spine. Release left hand to the shin and right arm to the sky for Trikonasana, the triangle shape. Now the tendency in this pose is for hips to fall back and this right shoulder to roll down towards the floor. Imagine you could bring left hip and right shoulder into the same plane, just like you're stacking blocks. Should feel like the crown of your head is extending away from your hips. And it should feel like your breath is moving equally into the left and the right rib cage. If you feel like you can't breathe into this left side of your ribs, you're probably down a little too far. So maybe find a little more height underneath that left hand. 2 more breaths here. Each inhale, expanding out. And each exhale, drawing the navel back, grounding down. That's it. Now turning your gaze down towards your left big toe, cartwheel into a low lunge. That's it. Pivot onto the ball of your back foot and step back to plank. Now you're welcome to keep your knees lifted if you want to try for a full vinyasa. Otherwise, you always have the option to bring your knees down. On your exhale, you're trying to lower hips and chest at the same time. Come to the tops of your feet, Press into your palms, lift your heart cobra, and then exhale down to your forehead. Press up through hands and knees. Curl your toes under. Lift your hips, downward facing dog. Good, 2 good breaths here. Pressing into your palms, lengthening your chest back toward your thighs. And then on an inhale, you'll come high onto your toes, softening your knees as you tiptoe up to the front of your mat. Fold over your legs. Good, this time reach for opposite elbows. Soften your knees as much as you need to and just let your torso sway from side to side. Imagining your head like a pendulum, just swinging as an extension of your spine. Gradually making your way to stillness. Release your fingertips towards the ground. As you breathe in, lift yourself halfway up, spine parallel to the ground. Exhale as you fold back over. And long spine as you rise to standing. Sweep your arms up next to your ears. Exhale, hands to your heart, mountain pose, Samasthiti. Good, inhale, reach out and up, second side. As you exhale, swan dive forward, taking the palms out wide. Breathing in, it's a half lift, long spine. And then with soft knees, release your fingertips and float your left foot back for that low runner's lunge. This time, left heel meets the mat for warrior 2. And as you inhale, you'll cartwheel up, facing the long edge of your mat, arms wide at shoulder level. Be sure you can press evenly into both feet, finding the pinky toe edge of that back foot. That's it. As you inhale, you'll extend through your right leg. Keeping it straight, exhale, reach past the front of your mat. As you inhale, come right back up to standing, stack your head over your hips. And as you exhale, float back down, warrior 2. Again, inhale, straighten. Exhale, reach. Inhale to the top. And exhale, right knee bend. Good, twice more, just like that. Reach, reach, reach. Back to the top. Bend your right knee. Good, last time, inhale to straighten. Exhale, reach. This time you'll pause. Keep your navel drawn close to your spine. As you release right hand to the shin and left fingertips to the sky. Notice what the tendencies are in your body if you're starting to lean forward or if you've somehow got your fingertips on the floor but you can't breathe into your right ribs. Find a little more height under that right arm. Scoop the right hip underneath your ribs and try to stack your left shoulder over your right. Now notice what it feels like to breathe. Each inhalation reaching out. Each exhalation rooting down. 2 more breaths, just like that. And looking down at your right big toe. Cartwheel into a low lunge. Pivot to the ball of that back foot. Bring your palms down to your mat and step back, high plank. So remember, you always have the option to lower to your knees. That'll make this a little bit easier. On an exhale, make your way down to your chest. Flip to the tops of your feet, and as you inhale, lift your heart. Exhale all the way down to your forehead. Press up through hands and knees. So take your hips all the way back to your heels. Come into a resting child's pose. Elbows on the mat, forehead on the mat. Let your rib cage rest onto your thigh bones. Close your eyes and take a moment to reconnect with your breathing. Observe how your breathing has changed since you first started this class. If anything shifted, if your breath feels different, perhaps it feels fuller, a little bit smoother. Perhaps it feels a little bit faster, your heart rate's lifted. And as you deepen your breathing, notice your heart rate slow to its neutral pace. few more resting breaths here. Very nice. Your next inhalation, walk your hands away from your knees. And carefully lift yourself up to an all-fours shape. Good. Curl your toes underneath. Stretch your hips up and back, just touching down dog for a breath. And then from down dog, come high on your toes. Tiptoe up to the front of your mat and pause in that standing fold. Good. Again, feet at hips distance. Longest toe pointed straight ahead. As you inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale to fold. And as you breathe in, please rise to standing. Make that big arm circle. Take your gaze to your thumbs. And then exhale, hands to your heart for mountain pose. Now we're moving into tree pose. So this is where it's really important to find that focal point on the ground in front of you. If you can keep your head still, it becomes a lot easier to keep the rest of your body in balance. So just find an unmoving point, maybe 5 or 6 feet in front of you on the floor. And then slowly begin to shift your weight over your left foot. Good. Spread through the toes on the left foot. Lift your heart into your thumbs. And as you're ready, bring your right knee up to balance. Doesn't matter how high. If balance feels a little bit wobbly today, just keep your right toes close to the ground. You can use them if you need them. If you feel pretty stable here, you might bring that right knee up in line with your hip. Good, keep breathing. On an exhalation, we're turning the right knee wide and then planting the right foot somewhere along the inseam of your left leg. Now you're aiming for above or below the knee. The knee's not really meant to take that lateral pressure. If you need to, you could even reach down and bring that right foot just a little bit higher up on your leg. Now, once you found that connection, really press your legs together. Notice how that changes the feel of this shape. Keep that action as you lift your heart into your thumbs. And then finally, if you like, you can reach your fingertips up towards the sky. So again, balance is a little easier if you keep your gaze down on the floor. If you like more of a challenge, you might gaze at the wall directly in front of you. You might even start to tip your gaze up towards the sky. Breathing deeply wherever you are. Each exhalation, drawing the navel back, pressing down into that left heel. Take 3 more breaths. And then slowly backing out. Release your hands together in front of your heart. Carefully turn that right knee forward. And then slowly release, right foot to the ground. And if you like, you can kind of shake out your legs, feel the blood flow, moving back into that left side. Then another breath as you find center. Focus your gaze somewhere on the ground in front of you. And then for most of us, this is the easier side. Start to spread the toes of your right foot. Shift your weight right. And as you're ready, bring that left knee into balance. Remember, you can keep your toes as close to the ground as you need to, or maybe lift your knee in line with your hip. Keep your heart lifted up. On an exhale, turn the left knee wide. But if balance feels a little wonky on this side, you can even keep your left toes on the ground, just like a kickstand as you come into tree pose. Some of you will slide your foot a little higher up the inseam. Remember, try to avoid planting your foot exactly on the right knee. If you need to, you can even reach down. Take your heel a little bit higher. And when you found that connection, really press your foot into the inside of your right leg. Deep breaths. Good, heart stays lifted. You might even lift your arms, maybe gazing at the floor, maybe looking at the wall, or maybe tilting your gaze up towards the sky. Good. It's okay to wobble and sway. Trees do that all the time. Take about 3 more breaths. Try to unclench your teeth. Try to relax that space between your eyebrows. 1 more breath, really reaching out. And then gently release hands to the heart. Carefully turn the left knee forward. And slowly release that left foot. Good. Shake out your legs. Notice what it feels like as the blood flow returns to your right side. And one last time, come to mountain pose at the top of your mat. Join your palms together in front of your heart. And as you breathe in, reach out and up. On your exhale, swan dive forward. A deep breath here, lift halfway up. And exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back to down dog, lifting the hips up and back. Good, one last vinyasa, just bringing some neutral qualities to the muscles around your spine. You'll inhale to plank. Release your knees if you like. Exhale down to your chest. Breathing in, come to the tops of your feet, lift your heart as high as you like. Exhale down to your forehead. And then press up to an all-four shape. Good. So after balance, it feels good to twist out the muscles around the spine a little bit, just loosening up where you might have held on to a little bit of tension. So the next posture is called thread the needle. You want to be sure that you're starting with hips over the knees and shoulders over the wrist. And we're going to start by twisting to the right. So step your right hand to the outside of your mat. Now on an exhale, thread your left arm through. So for some of us, we get stuck right about here. This is as far as the muscles in the back want to go, and that's totally fine. Find whatever shape feels good for your head, just let it be heavy. If you can twist a little bit deeper, you might lower this left shoulder to the floor, and you might even lower to the left side of your head. Now, the tendency is for these hips to fall in the direction that you're twisting. So imagine you could reach your right hip crease towards the back of your mat, evening out the hips. And then find just a little pressure under these right fingertips to help roll the right shoulder over the left. Deep breaths. Again, relax your face, relax your jaw. Good, wringing out the belly, wringing out the muscles around the spine and in the core. Making some space for some fresh blood flow to move in. And wait for an exhale. Press down into your right hand and slowly unwind. Just take a breath at center and kind of notice how you feel. We'll move into the other side. This time you'll step your left hand off your mat. On an exhale, thread your right arm through, and it might feel quite different on the second side. So maybe you twist more deeply, maybe you're stuck somewhere up here. If you're stuck a little higher, just let your head go. So the weight of your skull is going to create a little traction in those muscles behind your neck and in the upper part of your back. Maybe the right shoulder moves to the ground. The right side of your head. Be careful if your hips are falling over towards that left side. Imagine that left hip crease moving towards the back of the mat. Press gently into your left fingertips. Try to roll your left shoulder over your right. Maybe even turning your gaze up towards the ceiling. Let your belly relax as you breathe here. Natural massage for your digestive system. Twists are really great for assimilation. 2 more breaths. And again, waiting for that exhale, press gently into your left hand to help lift yourself up. Release your right hand to the ground. Take a breath or two at center, just noticing how you feel. Great. So from here, we're making our way onto the sit bones. You can swivel your feet over to one side, back your hips down to the floor, and come into a cross-leg shape somewhere on your mat. So it's fine if you want to cross your ankles. I prefer to stack one heel in front of the other. And wherever you are, just be sure you're not leaning over to one side. So we tend to favor one side of the body. You should feel like both of your hips are pretty even on the floor. Just a little more seated twisting here. You'll start with a nice tall spine, gentle engagement through your core to help maintain the length in your spine. And as you inhale, you'll reach up for the sky. As you exhale, take an easy twist to your right. Right fingertips move to the ground behind you. Left fingertips can land out front, or if you're twisting a little deeper, maybe your left hand moves to your right knee. Each time you breathe in, think about sitting a little taller. Each time you breathe out, think about squeezing your navel back towards your spine. So you're working this twist from the very center of your belly. If it feels okay on your neck, you can turn your gaze back if you're gazing over your right shoulder. So bringing that twist all the way up into your cervical vertebra. Two more breaths here. On your next inhale, gently unwind, get really tall, and reach up for the sky. As you exhale, gentle twist to your left. Left fingertips land behind you. You might bring your right hand to your knee, or you might bring your right hand just out front of your legs. Again, each time you breathe in, sit a little bit taller. Each time you breathe out, draw your navel back. And then finally, if it feels good on your neck, you can take your gaze all the way back over that left shoulder. 3 more full rounds of breath. And on an inhale, you'll unwind, reach for the sky. From center, circle your fingertips down to the ground. Keep both hips heavy on your mat as you walk your palms forward. So you might feel this stretch in your hips, you might feel it in your low back. But as soon as you feel a little sensation, just pause and dip your head down toward your chest. So again, the weight of the skull creating a little traction in the upper part of your back. You'll notice a natural fluctuation in your body as you breathe. Each time you inhale, you might lift a little bit off the ground. And each time you exhale, you might sink down a little bit lower. And it's just a little micro movement. Good. Take about 3 more breaths here, really focusing on that sense of release that comes with your exhale. Emptying your lungs, allow yourself to get heavy, a little bit closer to the ground. Last big breath. Now on the inhale, you'll walk your hands back towards your knees, lift yourself to seated. And we're just going to switch the cross of the legs. So you'll take your awkward foot out front. And this is where we really tend to lean. So if you find that you're leaning into one hip, try to ground the opposite side. Both sit bones pretty even on the floor. Sit really tall. And as you inhale, reach up. Good. This time as you exhale, it's a side extension. We'll release right fingertips to the ground. Soften that elbow as you extend the left arm up and over. Notice if you want to roll onto your right hip, try to glue this left sit bone down to your mat and reach your left fingertips away from that sit bone. Good. You might turn your gaze down towards the floor. Sometimes that feels good on the back of the neck. You can take whatever shape feels best to you. Some like Gazing underneath that left arm. Good. One more breath, filling up this left side of the ribs. On the next inhale, you'll rise to center, reach both arms up. And as you exhale, switch sides. Left fingertips release, elbow is soft, right arm's reaching up and out, away from that right hip. Be mindful that this left shoulder is not creeping up around your ear. Find a little space there. So we hold enough tension behind the neck as it is. This is a good place to let it go. Good, last 2 breaths here. And on an inhale, you'll rise to center. Both arms lift. That's it. Exhale, fingertips release down. Keep both hips heavy as you walk your palms forward. Good. Pause when you find your stopping point, and then bow your head towards your heart. And take about 5 or 6 good breaths here. Maybe closing your eyes. Observing those natural, expansive qualities in your inhalations. And the heavy, grounding qualities of your exhalations. Maybe sinking a little deeper with each round of your breath. And on an inhale, slowly walk your hands back, lift yourself to seated. And we'll make our way on to our backs. So bringing your feet to the ground in front of you, scoot your hips towards your heels. You can use your hands on your legs to help lower yourself down. We're gonna start in an easy figure 4 stretch. So with knees bent, keep your right foot on the ground, cross your left leg over your right, and roll that left knee away from your body. Now flex those left toes back towards the knee. It's going to keep the knee in a safer shape. And some of us are already feeling some sensation in this outer left hip. So you're welcome to stay right here. If you'd like a little more sensation in your stretch, you'll float your right foot off the ground, bringing those knees a little bit closer to your chest. Keep rolling this left knee away from your face. Most of us feeling this somewhere in the outer edge of the hip. Feel like some movement. You can rock from side to side. Good. And I know a lot of us like to reach around for the back of the leg. That's fine as long as you can keep your shoulders relaxed and the back of your head on the floor. If you find that this is happening, it's probably too tight of a stretch. So maybe just release those hands. And even here, you can kind of rock around to help massage this stretch into those muscles behind your hip. If you find a sweet spot as you wiggle around here, you're welcome to hold that stretch, giving your body a little extra attention wherever you need it. Really focusing on the inhalation here. You might notice that the intensity of your stretch increases as you fill up your lungs. Again, feel that natural sense of release each time you breathe out. Very nice. So keeping your ankle crossed over your knee, just release that right foot to the floor if it's lifted. Cross your left leg all the way over your right and stretch your arms wide, just like the letter T. Now pick up your hips, shift your hips just a few inches towards the left, and then release both knees towards the right. So you've got your left leg crossed on top, left shoulder heavy towards the ground. It might float up a little bit if you've got some tightness in the front of your chest. That's fine, just imagine a sandbag encouraging that shoulder towards the floor, even if it's not touching. And then finally, if you like, you can turn your gaze over your left shoulder, looking away from your knees. Maybe even close your eyes. Focus on your breathing. Try to expand the space right behind your navel each time you breathe in. And each time you breathe out, let gravity invite you towards the earth. Last big breath here. And if you've turned your gaze sideways, please turn your nose straight up towards the ceiling. Strongly engage through your core, squeezing your belly button back toward your spine, and then lift your knees up to center. Good. Uncross your legs and neutralize your hips just by picking them up and placing them right back down on the ground. Moving to the second side, you'll keep your left foot flat on the floor. Cross the right ankle over the left knee. Flex the right toes, they're reaching back towards the knee. And roll that right knee away from your face. And if you find that you're already feeling a stretch, you're welcome to stay right here. Some of you might lift your left foot away from the ground. You might reach for the back of that left leg. Again, just be mindful that you're not curling into a ball. It gets really hard to breathe when you're compressing the lungs in this shape. So be sure you can relax your shoulders to the ground. And if you're feeling wiggly, you can rock from side to side. Sometimes movement feels good, sometimes it's a little too much. So this is a good opportunity to tailor your practice in whatever way you need to. Again, if you find a sweet spot somewhere, you're welcome to hold that stretch. Big inhalations, bringing all that fresh oxygenated blood into these muscles around the right hip. Each time you breathe out, letting go of a little tension around that space. Just 2 more breaths here. With that second exhalation, please release your left foot down to the ground. Cross your right thigh all the way over your left. And then pick your hips up. Shift your hips just a few inches to the right. And on your exhale, release your knees to the left. So now you've got right leg stacked on top. Right shoulders heavy towards the ground. And if it feels okay on your neck, you can turn your gaze back, looking away from your knees. Maybe close your eyes. Find that inhalation right behind your navel. Expanding your belly as you breathe in. You might even feel your knees rise up away from the ground. And each time you breathe out, sink a little bit deeper. Let your body feel heavy, grounded and supported by the earth beneath you. Two more full breaths. And gently turning your gaze to the ceiling. Strongly engage your core. Use that strength to help relift your knees. Uncross your legs. And then pick your hips up. Place them right back down to help neutralize your pelvis. And just one last nice symmetric shape to end our practice today. We're going to curl the knees in towards the chest. Reach your arms around for your shins. Give yourself a little hug. And then draw your nose up towards your knees. So you're curled into this tiny little ball. Good. Try to get as little as you can. Really squeeze your knees in towards your rib cage. Take about 2 more breaths here. And on that last exhalation, release into your final relaxation. So in the traditional form of Shavasana, the arms and the legs are extended out long. You're making the shape of a gingerbread man. Palms turn up to face the ceiling. Toes just flap out to the sides. However, if this shape bothers your back, you're always welcome to bend your knees. I like to turn my toes in a little bit and let my knees rest together. And this just brings a little bit more width into the low part of the back, so it feels a little more relaxing. So taking whatever shape feels best to you, go ahead and close your eyes. So as you settle back into your final relaxation, begin by bringing your awareness to the muscles in your face, allowing your face to fall expressionless, your eyeballs to sink back into their sockets, the muscles behind your ears, the muscles in your jaw relax. Feel the rising and falling of your breath in your chest. Gentle sense of expansion and then softening as you breathe. Allow your belly to feel soft. Your arms and your legs to feel heavy. Resting here in this sense of effortlessness, just for a few quiet moments. Give yourself the opportunity to soak in whatever it is that you needed most from your practice, to filter out whatever it is that you're ready to let go of now. Mind begins to wander off. Let your next breath invite you back. So gently now, begin to shift your awareness back to the surface of your mat, deepening and lengthening your breathing, easing some movement into your fingers and your toes. Once you're certain that you're fully awake, gently bend your knees, bringing the soles of your feet into the ground. And take a deep breath in as you stretch your arms back behind you, just like a big morning stretch. Keeping your eyes closed, roll heavily to one side, resting in the fetal position. Use your arm like a pillow and just notice how you feel. Using the strength of your arms, gently lift yourself into a comfortable seat. Join your palms together in front of your heart. Take a moment to reconnect with your intention for this practice today. Whatever your reason is for being here. Honor yourself for setting this time aside in your day, giving this little gift to your mind and your body and your spirit. Finally, please bow your head towards your heart, honoring that divine space that exists inside each one of you. Namaste.